Hello, everybody. Welcome. So, if you're fresh, watch them from the beginning, all the videos. Then you get an idea, because it's progressive, even though I don't have a plan for these anymore, except for to do Qigong, because it tricks your body into a state of meditation, tricks your mind. So it's actually training, right? Training your body, right? Physical training, but it's an energetic thing. And so by doing the protocol, the proper positioning, you allow your mind to not index all of your thoughts, right? No real-time indexing, right? They just flow through and stop. So that's the purpose is to create space, right? To let the past die, to let your identity die, to permit space for the new, right? And the new is uncharted, right? It's not on the map. So you can't reference the map to get there or to traverse it, to navigate it, right? And so you have to have faith, and faith is knowing, right? That with whole perception, not just intellect, but intelligence, right? That the proper steps will be taken, right? Just take the next best step. So Qigong is the first step because it empties the space, right? Creates space for the new to enter. Where does the new come from? From the totality. So knees bent, right? Turned under without flexing. Push the lumbar out to make it convex. Make your thoracic concave. Drop the chin and feel the string, right? Connected to the top of your spine, extending your spine, separating your vertebra. So you see what it looks like from the side, right? This is the middle position. This is the upper position. I won't do it to the east or the west. Not unless it's a special occasion. Three breaths per station. Okay, try one more last breath. So breathe in slowly through the stomach. Extend your ribs. Pay attention to your positioning, your posture, right? And the one thing you can do to bring everything into line is pull on that string, right? Pull on it so it extends you and it puts everything in line. It's like just realize it's like a hack. And that's actually how you connect, right? On that silent gossamer out breath. That's how you connect to the all. So, what did I say? It is done, right? It is done. It's already done. We are complete. We only operate incomplete. So the idea is to permit our bridge to extend, right, across the chasm, right, instead of holding it back halfway and just acting like there's only one side. So it's all already right here. So everything is right here, you know. So no need, right? Everything that is required is already here. So ever-present origin, right? When one permits themselves to dissolve, right? The idea of themselves, their identity, right? Then that's letting go of your thoughts. That's basically it in a nutshell. And your thoughts are your past, right? You can think of the future, but it's always in reference to your experience, right? To what has transpired. And this is the artificial rhythm, right? This is the artificial, the man-made rhythm, right? The unnatural rhythm. Not to say that within this artificial rhythm, there isn't the beauty, right? And the grace and the joy and the love of everything that it means to be human, right? Because our technical knowledge comes from there, right? And what it means to be human is actually to be created, right? But the imperative is the creativity in alignment with. So we have this artificialness, right? This man-made aspect, right? But it's possible for the man-made to be natural, right? Natural design. We have the ability to do that, right? To take the material in our hands and create, right? And that is the awesome gift, right, that we have. And so obviously we're fucking wasting that gift in order to maintain the artificial rhythm. Okay, no? So whatever this is, it's wherever we are, you know, it's a element of the whole, of the all that exists. It's a portion of it, and it's clear right? This can't be argued either, right? That the universe, I mean, if you're saying space is fake, then you don't get to have the conversation, right? Um, you're you're actually really focused on the lower dimensions. That's what it really does. If you're thinking space is flat, space is fake. The universe is flat, man. It's continuous. No, it's torus shaped. It's a donut. Homer Simpson, right? Homer Simpson. He found out it's a donut. It doesn't matter. It has multiple dimensions, right? So it exhibits the qualities of a fractal, right? And I use the word quality on purpose. And a fractal is a self-repeating pattern, right? So no matter what scale you zoom in on the Mandelbrot set or the Julia set, you see the repeated pattern, right? It's the same at a smaller scale. And so it really doesn't matter what scale you're at, you know? Because it returns, right? It repeats the same pattern. And that's what the universe does. So we are down here exhibiting all of the properties of the entirety, right? So we are the entirety. And free will to fuck it up, you know, and our will has been captured, right, in this artificial rhythm, right? And that rhythm has to be maintained. But the fact that we are creative permits that artificial rhythm, right? And the fact that we are collective also permits that. And obviously, because we are conscious, right, and ambulatory in a body, that artificial rhythm can be maintained, right? Because the nature of our relationships, right? The nature of our relationships, it's all about interaction, right? And so that's how, I mean, to put it in a way that might distract you, that's how business is done, you know? And that's the exchange of energy, right? That it means to be human. And because, right, we're generalists, right? Despite us all training for our whole young adult lives to be a specialist, like we are designed to be generalists, which is why fucking if people have hobbies so they don't go fucking nuts, you know. But the right, so we all take an interest in every part of the economy, right? Which is the exchange of energy and information. That's what people do in order to survive. So to maintain that artificial rhythm, right, which is the unnatural rhythm, which is to curtail our creative ability, right? It curtails it places a governor on our top speed, right? And it's largely that governor is fucking waste, right? Wastes of materials and waste of life, right? Because, right? So like we're curtailed, right, in this unnatural rhythm, and it can persist because everyone believes the same thing. So consensus belief permits the perpetuation of the cycles of the cycle. the repetition of the cycle, the perpetuation of the pattern, right? And so it's that erroneous starting initial conditions, right? The conditions by which every interaction, right, between each of us with each other operates from that starting point, right? So it's the initial conditions are the environment, right? The mental environment that colors every interaction. And so what is that consensus belief, right? What is that? This is what I have been attempting to dig down to, right? To zoom in to find the simplicity of the beginning, right? Because now it's really complex just to look at the surface, right? And all of these, focused approaches on different areas of the complexity of our civilization. It's like work that doesn't get anything done. You know what I mean? It just turns the wheel. And what is that, right? Why is there no progress? And so we have to not put our attention on the minutiae of the complexity. We focus in on what is the initial conditions that permit it to run, right, and self-iterate, meaning you put in as the input the output of the previous iteration. What is this a much more simple fucking set of variables, right? Then, and so if you dive deep into the initial conditions, then you can change the environment of interaction, right? Which is the conceptions, the commonly held conceptions, the dominant belief structure that colors every interaction, right? So what is that? What is that deeply held, most common consensus belief? Right? I've been talking about it over and over. It's our conception of value. And so I think this is where I tread over fresh ground. And it's taken me a long time to get here because I began at this building an argument for cooperation as being more having a higher impact relative to competition on the development of the new, of innovation, right? And since we, to reiterate and to backtrack, right, is that when I say innovation, you all start thinking about something else, right? We are creative. And so that's what we do, right? And that is the motivation of the individual, right? When the individual, I say it, that's interesting. When the individual is introduced to new information, right? And they leave the group and isolate in their own mind, which is their own laboratory, right? Without any access of others to the processes going on internal, right? And so the motivation of the individual is to embellish on the information that they have already learned, right? To make it better, right? And this is to be of value to others, right? And that's innovation. If we all had one mind, right? We are all one, but we wouldn't be able to create if we were all one, because there wouldn't be that opportunity to place individual awareness on something, right? And so there would always be that consensus dominating perception, right? You see, right, how that works, and that's basically right. The irony is that's what mass communication is to the development of the one mind, right? To maintain a worldview, right? To maintain the worldview and only update it as it suits the curtailment, right? The unnatural rhythm, as it suits the maintenance of the unnatural rhythm, to maintain it, right? Because that unnatural rhythm, right? Principle of rhythm from the Hermetic principles, right? It's the interplay of polarities, right? Again, interplay of polarities, right? So it's on a wave, you can think of it as properties of waves. It's the easiest thing to do, and that's what waves do. Is they exhibit rhythm, right? All of the principles are properties of waves, and so, but the dance between polarities, right? One will be superior and the other inferior, and then it'll flip flop, right? And the bottom will become the top will become the bottom, right? And so we have this on this made up polarity that doesn't exist in nature, right? That which we primarily operate on. Right? You guys following? So that one mind, right? That static mind, right? Is maintained. And so you can see how the innovation that occurs, right, doesn't touch this crucial area of the most commonly held belief, right? Which is, it doesn't matter what camp you're in, what tribe you're in, what nationality, what culture, right? And this is 99%, right? Not like there's probably examples, right, where this isn't the case, right, in some indigenous isolated cultures. But, right, for all intents and purposes. This commonly held conception of the definition of value, it to me is what I've dug down to, right, which is the initial conditions that color every interaction, right, every human interaction. And so how do you define value, right? Determines how you operate in the environment of society. You guys following? So any of y'all who are listening, right, and you think this particular exposition hits it harder than any other that I've given, fucking share that shit. Right? Let's disrupt this most commonly held conception, right? This consensus belief. And remember, a belief is just an opinion, right? Because you can believe without any proof. And belief is commonly misconstrued with faith, right? Which is you know, or I mean, the improper probably version of it is you believe without any evidence of such belief being true, right? And so that's what everyone fucking does, right? And any evidence that challenges their belief is fucking filtered out with their polarized lenses, you know, blinders. They're Varney blinders. What happened to Varney? Those are some good frames. I might bust those out if they came back. But I no longer wear glasses, any shades whatsoever, because how many millions of years were these eyes prepared for that? For the sun? Way more than we've had these lenses. So yeah, no lens, right? And that's what I say, right? In episode something, 14 or something. No filter is required. No filter is required. And to have one is an impediment, right? Is a dependency, right? And you curtail your highest, most whole perception, holy perception. So what I was getting at, right, is that this artificial rhythm is based on a false polarity, right? I've already explained it. I kind of like am hesitant to say what that is because it triggers people. And I've already said it, but it's pretty clear that all of the fables, myths, right, and religious texts from the olden days are to reinforce this false polarity, right? And it's funny. It's funny because it's. I'll just say that the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? Principle of Wu Wei, right? Inferior virtue and superior virtue, right? We've been over it. We've been over and over it, right? Superior virtue isn't concerned, right, with good or evil. It is love. That's non-duality, right? That's the cosmic original background space that all creation jumps from, and that is the female aspect, which is what I've been saying, right? So the space, right? The space that is created is the right brain, right? Is your intuition, right? Your intuition is information coming in to a ground that was cleared, right? From your fucking thoughts. And so any potentiality is available to us, right? So we can turn this around, right? It's not hard. It's not a complex problem. It's actually really simple. And it's destroyed. All the words to use to describe it are fucking ruined, right? Because they've been not only inverted their definitions or been categorized as being in a set, right? So which separates it and allows people to pigeonhole, right? Oh, it's that, right? I know about that. Fuck that shit, right? And so it's impossible to use words without fucking losing most of y'all. But if you're here, right, and you're listening, then you're up for it. Are you? Get up. Get on up. Yeah. So value, right? Value, right, is the way we define it, right? Is that and oh my God, dude, my mind. I want to jump to the end, right? Always. But I feel like I need to back this up a little more. Value, right? What is it, right? Where does it come from? Right? And so despite me thinking Maslow was a fucking, you know, whatever. I read all of these guys who've been propped up and pedestalized as like, this is a good explanation, right? And then it just falls flat in the end. I've been talking about it already. It's like all of these good steps and then fucking right off the cliff, you know? So, yeah, Maslow, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? This is as a living body, right? And being in this material level, right? Dimension, a dimension that's part of the whole, right? That's part of the totality, right? And exhibits all the qualities of every level, right? The whole thing is one thing, and each dimension exhibits the qualities of the totality. But there is a differentiation between the dimensions because you add a degree of freedom every one that you climb, right? So taking away degrees of freedom, all you flat earthers, right? Come on, man. Don't you want to elevate, right? How can you associate properties of waves with your fucking ideas? You can't. Get over yourselves. Stop looking for it and you won't see it, you know? Understand that the message is this is flat relative to the upper dimensions, but it still has that fucking vertical component, right? You can still go up or down, right? Space isn't fake. And up or down is fucking dependent upon fucking where the gravity source is. Where is it, y'all? Where's the source of gravity? Is it artificial or is it just written in? All right, I digress. But yeah, clip that shit. You want a refutation of flat Earth? Clip that shit and put it out there on your channel. So I'm gonna run out of juice pretty soon on the high res camera, but yeah, value, right? Okay, so this is the commonly held consensus belief, right? Our conception of value that colors every fucking transaction, every fucking interaction that we have, right? And which on aggregate creates this pattern, right? This repeating pattern that we see, right? That, right? How many times do we have to see it, right? And try to fix the leaky boat with some tape, right? And then build a whole contraption to keep the tape on. And to, you know, it's like, it's, you know, there's no stopping that shit, right? There's no stop. It just adds to it, right? It just perpetuates it. So it's in the beginning, right? And the ever-present origin. And we have access to that, right? Through our minds, right? Because our minds are what holds the consensus belief. And value, right? If you define it as limited, right? It requires a limited supply to be in high demand. And this is right where everyone goes, obviously that's the case, you know, because that's just how it goes, man. And yeah, there's not an unlimited supply of anything right here in this location, right? But we've lived to this point, right, and haven't expended it all, right? And so proper fucking management, right? Non-curtailing fucking innovation, right, would have us living in a way that makes it so the supply is unlimited. And looking at it just from the aspect of okay, yeah, so value comes from being alive, right? So the most valuable things are the things that continue living, right? That permit living to continue, right? And so these are, right, 7 fucking things. Do I need to list them? So yeah, hydration, nutrition, shelter, clothing, energy, transportation, and communication. Right. All of these things are what allow the fucking exchange of value to occur. Right. And so if once those are met, then we pile on different levels of value. Right. So once your needs are met, then new ways to innovate are available. Right. And they occur because the needs in the past have been met. So that's the origin of value, right? But living in society, we are disconnected from direct interface with the environment, right? There's a buffer. And so we live within that buffer and we generate value to exchange with others, right? And so that pool of value, the value that is created by living, doesn't fucking stop. It only increases. Can you see that? Right? As living occurs, the value pool increases. And so if we access that pool of value in a way that makes sense, right? Instead of building in off of this fucking artificial rhythm, right? This thing that makes money off of loss, right? Off of death, right? This is why hedge funders are billionaires, right? They make money by hedging, right? By betting on losers. And so if there were no losers, right, that would be really hard to do. And so they're apex parasites. Right? That's another way to describe it. Right? There's no value created there. They've built a mechanism in order to suck juice from us living, right? And that juice is generated through loss, right? So us living and us getting killed is what makes that fucking money, right? And that's the clearest way to describe our system is if you apply supply and demand to the currency, right, then you have a supply of currency that can have the price set on it, you know, and so then you can sell it, right? So too much currency in that instance diminishes the value of the unit, right? And that's what is more evil than fucking dialing down the value of living, right? That unit of currency losing value, people are still living the same way, right? So that's extracting it from living people. That's why usury was a sin. It was punishable by death until, you know what I mean, right? And so when I say that shit, that's one of those words that will pigeonhole, right? And categorize, and you guys will stop listening. Don't stop listening. So that's exactly what it is, right? So our general consensus belief of the definition of value is based on supply and demand, which is a scarcity model of value, which makes it seem like there's a limited supply, right, of living, of life available. That must be competed for. And so that supply, right, never stops, right, because we keep going, right? We keep going. And the apex parasites extract a portion of our blood, our life's blood, right? It's like vampiric for themselves. And the only way that continues is if to have this artificial rhythm, right, that's built into the system. And that's the matrix, right? And it's in our head because the initial conditions of our conception of value is in here. Right. And so, yeah, we've been living on this earth for this long, and we've been operating on the the scarcity model of value. right? Even when the population was almost, it's like minuscule, right? Right. So like there's ways, right? And so by facilitating living instead of curtailing it, right, in order to extract a portion of that value, right, for nothing, actually adds faster to the supply of value. It just increases it. And so this is what I'm saying, is that psychological transformation that is required, right? Which is stop with the scarcity model thinking, right? That you better get yours or someone else will take it. Right? And it's not just like, okay, you need to stop being selfish, right? It's just actually realizing that it's actually way more effective to work together to make sure that everyone is contributing, right? Because you don't know what anyone is capable of, right? It's like the message of Ratatouille, the movie, right? Back when Pixar had these quality messages. That was probably my favorite one, the favorite message, which is not everyone can be a great artist, but a great artist can come from anywhere. And so, right, that's where it stops. But right, and so make sure that anywhere has that everyone can contribute, so that whatever possibility is out there can fucking be logged. Right? Are you seeing what I'm saying? Yeah. So this is the psychological transformation, is that actually making it so everyone can go towards what that makes them feel passionate, right? That gives them the fervor for life, for living, right? That makes them feel fulfilled, right? Actually will exponentially increase the introduction of new value, right? And we have the technology now, right, to permit that on a large scale. So the infrastructure I propose is to repurpose, right, our technical knowledge, our accumulated technical knowledge for this, right, for facilitation of living on all levels, right? And it begins with those 7 categories of products I just mentioned, right? The needs, right? So it's you're subscribing to material, right? And that's what you do by living in a collective, is you're subscribing to the benefit of the collective, right? And so you put in to get out, right? That's how it works, and it's an exchange. And so we maximize the input, right? And therefore the output will be fucking exploding. And so we can. This is the natural, right? This is the natural rhythm, right? So we can repurpose our technology to operate on the natural rhythm instead of this death cycle, right? Which extracts our lives, right, for the purposes of the apex parasites to gorge on. Right? And so careful of your triggers, right? When I say these words, right, everyone will be like, what's been built in, right? It's also another conception, is that any criticism is a complaint about an individual's own life, right? And so the turn, right, you start talking about this stuff and it gets turned back on you, saying, oh, you're dissatisfied, you why can't you just clean your room? Right, when your room is clean, get back to me, you'll be more credible, right? And then right and then when you clean your room, you're well adjusted, and now suddenly you're on the team, right? And now everyone will listen to you because you have a record, right? Oh, you have a record of success. Now we listen to you. Self-reference. Man, I'm fucking killing it. I mean, yeah, okay, maybe I should back it off a little. It's like when you get excited when you score in soccer. Fucking get fired up, right? I just dribbled it through the whole field, right? Who else is around, right? And I passed it to the onion basket. So yeah, we repurpose technology to be in alignment with the natural rhythm, right? And break away from this artificial rhythm, which I just spent fucking 45 minutes. You skull. Yeah. All y'all want a package, right? If the package isn't there, you're gonna scan that shit real quick to check for the package, right? And if it ain't there, then you won't check out the inside, which is gold, right? So I've always been on this kick, right? Which is where I'll camouflage, right? And so if you're worthy, then you'll be on point, right? To see through the camouflage, right? Is to not look for a package, for a presentation, right? And recognize that it is the information. It is the contents. It's what's inside that counts. And when you discover that, you will find gold, right? You will be able to identify it instead of just having your fucking your perception of value manipulated through the need of fancy cuts and graphics and you know what I mean. Are you getting it? Right? Are you getting it? Not to say that framing isn't important, right? Composition isn't important, but what I'm doing is laying bare the information for you, right? And you get to see my fucking face. Full package. Right? I'm just fucking with you. And yeah, right. So I think you guys got the message this time, right? So it is, we create the sacred exchange, we reestablish it, right? And repurpose our accumulated technical knowledge to support it and facilitate it. And then, yeah, we create so much value that it becomes like a black hole, right? That doesn't suck you in, but that we set up in orbit around to create this beautiful fucking emanating pattern, right? Of a civilization that is operating from sacred principles. All right, I love you guys. Be well.